Following the conclusion of the 2024-25 League One season, in today's video I'm going to go through all 24 clubs and give my player of the season. If you do want to enjoy today's video, don't forget to drop a like on there for me and subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. Can we try and hit 200 likes on today's video? And don't forget to get your thoughts in down in the comment section down below. Do you agree or disagree with my pick? And if you do disagree, who else do you think deserves this award a bit more? Now, I'm a Bradford City fan. I've been following League 2 a lot closer than League 1 this season, so obviously you'll know your club a lot better than what I do, but I've given it a good go. There's obviously going to be a lot of League 1 content coming up for next season. Now Bradford City are in League 1, so make sure to subscribe for that. Let's waste no further time and get straight into it. Starting out firstly then with Barnsley FC, I'm going to go with Davis Keeler-Dunn. I don't think it could have really been anybody else, in all honesty. This season got 18 goals and 7 assists for his first season in League 1 for quite a while. Obviously he got his big money move from Mansfield last summer. If Barnsley are to be successful next season, they're definitely going to need to keep Keeler-Dunn around. Obviously 25 goal contributions in 45 starts for a mid-table side. Absolutely incredible return. A player I rated highly at Mansfield. Absolutely smashed it this season with Barnsley, and I'm sure he'll only go on to bigger and better things. I think he'll definitely be playing in the Championship within 2 seasons. Rotherham United was obviously a very tricky one. In the end, I have decided to go with Sam Nombe. Nobody has really stood out this season. It has been a very disappointing campaign for the Millers, but Nombe still managed 14 goals and 5 assists. 19 goal contributions in 20 starts for a team who have massively underachieved this season. I think still is a really good return. There hasn't been many real players at Rotherham who have shown any sign of quality this season, but I think Nombe, when he's been fit and available, has certainly been at that place. So I'm going to go with him as my player of the season. For Lincoln City, I'm going to go with Paudie O'Connor, obviously former Bradford City man, and I think it's very likely he'll be playing in the Championship next season. He's been absolutely incredible for Lincoln this year. They didn't quite kick on from the previous campaign and make it into the playoffs this time around, but they still had a very good season, and for the large part, Paudie O'Connor was a big presence of that. When he was fit and available, absolutely brilliant at the back. Contributed to 7 goals this season, 9 clean sheets, 8.4 clearances per game, wins nearly 70% of his aerial duels. Absolute man-mountain, absolute monster at the back. One of the best centre-halves in the entire division, and definitely deserves Lincoln's Player of the Year award for me. At Stevenage, I thought there was a few decent performers this year. On the whole, it was another solid campaign in League 1 for Stevenage, but I'm going to go with Dan Kemp. 10 goals and 4 assists in 33 starts. I do think is a pretty decent return. They didn't quite do as well this year as what they did in the previous campaign. Obviously, their first full season without Steve Evans, but I still do think Dan Kemp was a bright spot going forward. 14 goal contributions in 33 starts, pretty solid return, so I think he deserves Stevenage Player of the Season. Huddersfield Town, again, another pretty difficult one because they massively did underperform. There wasn't really too many standouts in their team this year, but I'm going to go with Ben Wiles. 8 goals and 5 assists from midfield in 39 starts. I do still think is a pretty decent return for a team who did, like I mentioned there, massively fail to deliver the expectations that were set on them at the start of the campaign. He played nearly 3,500 minutes, featured in every match apart from one this campaign as well. Defensively, maybe he could do with a bit of improvement, but going forward, I do think he is a very good midfielder for this level, and there wasn't really too many options, really, was there? For Wigan Athletic, I'm going to go with goalkeeper Sam Tickle. Without a doubt, the best in the entire division this season for me. Played every single minute throughout this campaign, saved 1 out of 2 penalties, had a 75% save percentage, which I think is absolutely incredible. Made 128 saves across the full season as well. Contributed to 8 clean sheets. Absolutely outstanding return for him so far this campaign. I think he's only going to be playing higher up than Wigan Athletic. He might get his move this summer, if not, definitely next summer. I think the Championship, maybe Premier League is calling for him in years to come. I know he's got still a fair few years left on his contract with Wigan, but he's been absolutely outstanding in between the sticks, so definitely their player of the season for me. For Blackpool, I'm going to go with Ollie Casey. I think on the whole this season he has been really, really solid. Played in 43 out of the 46 games, played over 3,800 minutes, 3 goals and 1 assist, but defensively absolutely outstanding. 12 clean sheets, 1.7 interceptions per game, 1.8 tackles per game, 2.8 balls recovered per game, and 8.9 clearances per game as well. He wins 73% of his ground duels and 67% of his aerial duels. Absolutely brilliant this year for Blackpool. Again, they didn't quite achieve achieved what maybe they were looking for in making it into that top 6. But if they're to be successful next season, Ollie Casey needs to perform as well as what he did this campaign, and he's definitely their player of the season for me. Over at Exeter City, I'm going to go with Crystal Palace loanee Joe Whitworth. I think he's been really good this season in between the sticks for Exeter. Obviously played well over 4,000 minutes this season, played every single minute in the league, has a 67% save percentage, which I do still think is very solid. Saved 1 out of 6 penalties as well, contributed though to 15 clean sheets throughout the full campaign. I think without him in goal, Exeter could have been in a lot more trouble this season for me. They're going to struggle, I think, to replace him this summer, but he's been absolutely brilliant, so definitely deserves their Player of the Year award for me. Bolton Wanderers was an incredibly tricky one just because of how poor they have been this season. Obviously under Ian Evatt, and then Stephen Schumacher couldn't quite have the impact that he wanted to this season. In the end though, I'm going to go with Aaron Collins. Somebody needs to win the award, so I might as well give it to the man who got 12 goals and 4 assists in 36 starts, 16 goal contributions in 36 starts, over 3,200 minutes played. Again, it was really difficult to pick, so I don't think anybody's massively stood out this season for Bolton, but if you have to give it to somebody, you probably give it to Aaron Collins. He did miss 20 big chances though this season and only had an 11% goal conversion rate, so Bolton fans, let me know down below, would you have picked anybody else? For Mansfield Town, I'm going to go with Deji Oshilaja. Now, I could certainly understand the argument for Will Evans, who I think has had an incredible season for the Stags, but Oshilaja for me, absolutely brilliant at the back this season for Mansfield, playing in defence. I think is certainly his better position. He can do a job as a holding midfielder, but I certainly think he plays better as a central defender. 38 starts for him this season, and it was clear to see in the games when he was absent. Mansfield definitely missed him. 3 goals in there, 7 clean sheets, brilliant defensive stats as well. Wins 73% of his aerial duels. He's one of them players that you just wouldn't want to play against. He's a real ugly, horrible player, but if he's on your team, he is very good, very consistent for Mansfield. For a first season in League One, this is exactly the type of player that they needed, so he's definitely Mansfield's Player of the Year for me. Over at Reading FC, they've obviously had an unbelievable season considering what they've had to deal with off the pitch for the majority of the campaign, but I'm going to go with Harvey Nibbs as their Player of the Season. I could certainly understand the argument for Tyler Bindon, but Nibbs for me has been absolutely incredible this year. 14 goals and 6 assists, 20 goal contributions in 41 starts, but he had a 26% goal conversion rate and only missed 4 big chances. If Reading would have created more this season, they could have definitely made it into that top 6. They only just missed out, didn't they, in the end? And if they are to be successful next season, they've got to keep a hold of Harvey Nibbs this summer. Absolutely brilliant season, and for me personally, deserves their Player of the Year award. For Peterborough United, there was a lot of players this season who massively failed to kick on from what they produced in the previous campaign. Kwame Poku, though, even though he missed 3 or 4 months of the season, he's still going down as my Peterborough Player of the Year. Just 25 starts for him this season and still managed 12 goals and 8 assists. 20 goal contributions in 25 starts, just over 2,000 minutes played. Absolutely incredible return this season for Kwame Poku. Definitely will be playing in the Championship next season. I think he's more than good enough to be doing that. Absolute top talent, and Peterborough are definitely going to miss him next season. Over the last couple of years, they've lost a lot of their quality and replaced them with gems who haven't quite kicked on so far. They could be in another relegation battle next season. Without Poku, they would have definitely gone down this year, so I would be a little bit concerned if I was a Posh fan right now. For Leyton Orient, I couldn't have really picked anybody else other than Charlie Kelman, but I do think Jamie Donnelly does deserve a good shout as well. But Kelman this year, I think, did obviously finish as the League One top goal scorer, 21 goals and 5 assists, 26 goal contributions in 37 starts. Absolutely brilliant return, nearly 3,400 minutes played, had a 19% goal conversion rate, averaged a goal every 162 minutes as well. For me personally, the best striker in the division this season, and how he didn't make it into the team of the season or win the Player of the Year award, he wasn't even nominated for it, I will never know. Definitely better though than Jay Stansfield for me. For Northampton Town, I'm going to go with midfielder Cameron McGee, and I think this season he's obviously produced 10 goals and 5 assists, 15 goal contributions in 40 starts. Is a really good return for a team who finished just outside of the relegation zone. Played exactly 3,500 minutes as well. Defensively, not awful as well, in all honesty. His dual stats obviously aren't amazing, but his goal contributions return, 15 in 40 starts, is a really good return. You can clearly see that when he's been fit, he's been forced to start the games because he is that good. He's been really important to Northampton surviving this season, and if they're to kick on next campaign, he's going to need to produce some similar sort of numbers as well. For Wycombe Wanderers, I'm going to go with Richard Coney. Now, recently he has sort of fallen off a little bit, but on the whole, I do still think he has had an incredible season. 18 goals and 3 assists in just 32 starts. If he would have been fit and available for the full campaign, who knows was, could Wycombe have made it into that top two? Unfortunately, he did tail off a little bit towards the back end of the campaign, but first half of the season, absolutely incredible and a big part of their success. They're obviously batting out with Charlton in the playoffs at this moment in time, but Kone, for me, absolutely brilliant return this season. Burton Albion was a pretty tricky one to decide considering how awful they were for the first part of the season. Second half of the season, though, they were absolutely excellent, and I think Ryan Sweeney was a big part of that. You can see, recently he did perform very well in the back end of the campaign, but a man who always puts his body on the line, started 42 matches, played over 3,700 minutes this season as well, 2 goals and 2 assists, still managed to contribute to 11 clean sheets, over 1 interception per game, 1.5 tackles per game, 2.7 balls recovered per game, and 8.2 clearances per game as well. He wins 70% of his ground and aerial duels, 83% successful dribble rate, absolute man mountain at the back, and Ryan Sweeney, for me, definitely deserves Burton's Player of the Year award. Charlton Athletic, I'm going to go with defender Lloyd Jones. On the whole this season, he has been absolutely outstanding when he has been available. 35 starts, 3 goals for him this year, 17 clean sheets, and just look at those defensive stats. 1.8 interceptions per game, 1.3 tackles per game, 2.4 balls recovered per game, and 7.9 clearances per game as well, winning 67% of his ground duels and 69% of his aerial duels. Definitely deserved his place in the League One Team of the Year as well. Absolutely brilliant for Charlton this year, and a big part as to why they have made it into the playoffs, so he's definitely the Addicts Player of the Year for me. For Crawley Town, I'm going to go with Cammy Doyle. I wouldn't really say I know much about the Crawley squad in all honesty, but looking at his statistics from this season, 25 starts, 10 goals and 4 assists, really good return for him, to be fair. Average a goal every 213 minutes with a 19% goal conversion rate. I'm not 100% sure what position he plays. I think he's a midfielder. I presume he's on loan from Brighton. Like I said, I don't really know too much about the Crawley squad, so if you do disagree, let me know your thoughts down below. But I thought 14 goal contributions in 25 starts seems like a very good return for a team who in the end obviously got relegated. Stockport County obviously had a brilliant first season back in League One, and for me personally, they didn't really have many players who massively stood out in their squad. Just all of them have played very well across the full season. In the end though, I have decided to go with Kyle Wootton. I feel like he is the most important player in that Stockport squad. You take him out of the side, and I do think Stockport lose a little bit in their team, but this season played in every single league match, started 40 of them, scored 11 goals and also contributed to 7 assists, 18 goal contributions. When being a goal scorer isn't necessarily his game, it's more what he brings that the stats don't show. I do still think is a very good return. They've had a lot of very good performers this season, but Kyle Wootton for me, I do think is the most important. Defensively from set plays as well, very important, very underrated attribute, and definitely Stockport's Player of the Season for me. Bristol Rovers obviously had an absolutely dreadful campaign, especially towards the second half of it. Didn't they only pick up like 1 point in the last 10 games? Something absolutely ridiculous like that. I'm going to go with Connor Taylor in the end though, considering how poor they were this season defensively. The fact that I've still picked a defender goes to show how bad they were in every other position on the pitch. He played in 42 matches, started 38 of them, playing over 3,500 minutes, 1 goal and 1 assist for him, but defensively his stats are not awful. Only 6 clean sheets isn't great, but 1.3 interceptions per game, 1.5 tackles per game, 3.4 balls recovered per game, and 7 clearances per game as well. He did have 2 errors which led to a goal and committed 2 penalty offences, but he wins 76% of his ground duels and 73% of his aerial duels. There wasn't really many other standouts. There is obviously flaws in his game, but for a young defender, I still think he is good enough to be kept around for next season. They've brought back Darryl Clark to the club. I think that is an absolutely brilliant appointment, but Taylor for me, I'm going to go with as Bristol Rovers Player of the Year. Wrexham are very similar to Stockport in the sense that they've not really had many players who've massively stood out this season. They've just been very good and very consistent across the full board. In the end though, I've decided to go with academy graduate Max Cleworth. I think he's been absolutely outstanding this season. Obviously played and started in 42 matches, played nearly 3,800 minutes, 7 goals for a centre-half is absolutely brilliant, a further 2 assists in there as well. He kept 21 clean sheets this season, averaging 1.6 tackles per game, 3 balls recovered per game, and 4.5 clearances per game as well. He wins 65% of his ground duels and 67% of his aerial duels. Absolutely brilliant for Wrexham this season, and I think he's only going to go on to bigger and better things at just 22 years of age. Absolutely brilliant this year. year. Cambridge United, again another team who just were terrible for the majority of this season. Their only real shining grace, I'm going to go with Josh Stokes, obviously on loan from Bristol City. I expect him to be back in League One next season as well. Only managed the 26 starts, I can only assume struggled a little bit with injuries this season, played less than 2,400 minutes, but still managed to score the 7 goals and chipped in with a further 2 assists. Averaged 1.2 key passes per game, created 8 big chances as well. I do think there's a bright future ahead for Josh Stokes, just unfortunately, obviously Cambridge were relegated this season. If you do disagree, is it Hughes fans? Cambridge fans, let me know what you think down below. Birmingham City had a lot of absolutely outstanding footballers this season. You got Cochrane at left back, Iwata and Pig in the midfield, Stansfield up front as well, even Anderson on the wing, but Christoph Clara, how that man has ever played in League One, I will never know. Probably the best ever player to play in League One. Absolutely outstanding this season. Played and started in 43 matches. Just look at his heat map. For a centre-half, that is absolutely ridiculous. Obviously played over 3,800 minutes. Scored the 1 goal and chipped in with a further 3 assists. 88% passing accuracy. Absolutely outstanding. Contributed to 18 clean sheets, 1.8 tackles per game, 3.5 balls recovered per game, and 5.6 clearances per game as well. He has a 71% successful dribble rate, wins 60% of his ground duels and 74% of his aerial duels. Absolute man mountain at the back. More than good enough to be starting week in, week out next season in the Championship. And I don't think it'll be long until he's playing in the Premier League. Absolutely brilliant footballer. There was a lot of different options at Birmingham, but Clara for me has been absolutely incredible this year. Shrewsbury Town was almost impossible to pick somebody because of how awful they have been this season. I nearly went with Josh Feeney, obviously on loan from Aston Villa, I believe. I think he's had a solid season, but I'm going to go with John Marquis. I think for a team who finished rock bottom, like 15 points from safety, to still score the 11 goals and chip in with 1 assist, 12 goal contributions in 34 starts for a team who've been awful on the whole this season, in less than 2,900 minutes, I don't think is an awful return. Yes, he missed 17 big chances, but he had a 19% goal conversion rate. It was an awful season really for Shrewsbury, but Marquis stepped up. At times, there was a lot of players who massively underperformed, but I don't think Marquis will be massively disappointed with his season on a personal note. It could have been Verdane Oliver. This is the sort of standard we're talking about. Verdane Oliver played for Shrewsbury Town this season. Goodness me, them poor buggers. Well, there we have it then. There is every League One club's 2024-25 player of the season, in my opinion. If you have enjoyed watching today's video, don't forget to drop a like on there for me and subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. 200 likes, as I mentioned at the start of today's video, will be massively appreciated. And don't forget to get your thoughts in down in the comment section down below. Do you agree or disagree with my suggestion? And if you do disagree, let me know who else you would have given the award to. Thank you so much for watching. Plenty of League One content coming up for next season, so make sure you are subscribed, and I'll have my League One team of the season coming out very soon. 200 likes though would be absolutely brilliant, and I'll see you very soon for another one.